They're all examples of self-betrayal. Times when I had a sense of something I should do for others, but didn't do it. What's up, champions? Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we talk about best-selling books, their best principles to help you with your best life. I'm your host, William Blake, and we are joined today as well by the founder of Champion Circle, John Kovach Jr. And today we are going into book rating 2 on our list of what you viewers thought were the best of our books. What we did was we took and went to our analytics. We looked up what were the 4 top books that each of you wanted to invest in, that each of you went into the episodes and learned and applied to yourself. We picked 4 of those. This is the second of the 4, I guess top second. I don't even know how to say that. This is number 2 of 4 of the books that you guys thought. We are jumping into Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger that word, Academy, to where we are talking about getting outside of the box, how maybe we are the problem, and how that's simply leading with empathy, going forward and really seeing that as we are the problem, that we have the choice and control to be able to go forward, that we can get outside of the box and start building a relationship with others. Now, as we could do this is the practical application side. This is the overview. This is the well, you guys talked about the book back then. What the heck did you apply into your life? So we're going to jump into a few of those examples. Obviously, this is going to be a shorter episode because it's just an overview. And we love to do the speed dating method, which is quick, fireball back and forth answers between John and I. And I'm just excited to be able to do that. John, how excited are you?
Oh, man, I love these episodes. And again, we don't need to review any of these books because we've spent a lot of time diving into them. And so going back and watching or listening to these different podcast episodes, you're going to get so much out of it. And I love these because this has just been an opportunity for us to say, you know what? You chose this, audience. You people listening to this, you chose this. These were our top listened to books and episodes throughout the year, and we're just grateful. So thank you for being a Peers Choice Award, and this is our second most watched and second most celebrated book on this podcast, and we can't wait to celebrate number 1, but number 2 is no different. So I'm really excited. Leadership and Self-Deception is an impactful book with so many great lessons, and I know we were struggling there a minute ago to say the Arbinger group, but look, this is one of those books where it's not an author, it's an institute, right? And there's a lot of research that goes into this, and I dig it because most of the books you and I read are by a specific author, but this fictional story background is so captivating and so it just draws you in. And one of my favorite things, let's just jump right on into it, is when it comes to getting out of the box, right? You want to start thinking about how you see and view the world, but recognizing when you're viewing others as obstacles or tools instead of people can completely change how you connect with others. I have a habit of telling my team at Champion Circle that I treat every social experiment as I were a scientist. And I realize that could be so mind-numbing and so insensitive that it might come across as them being obstacles in my crazy social science experiment. And oftentimes what I'm doing or looking for is I'm looking for opportunities to test results. And I'm always putting on my lab coat and taking my emotions out of things and testing results in ways. But there have been times where I've gotten carried away, and those results were because I let people just be objects in my experiment rather than humans. And that's not the way humans should be treated. And I recognize that. And now I still have the attitude of a scientist because I just believe in my heart that I love to push the needle and test things as an entrepreneur. And sometimes you can't have an emotion attached to a result because that's going to keep you from succeeding. But at the same time, you can't treat people like obstacles or tools. You need to treat them like success stories or human beings that have potential, and you've got to see them from where they're at, and that will really change how you connect with them. And the deeper your connection with them, I believe it can truly enhance the experience and amplify the results. I mean, really, when it comes to relationships, you will find opportunities to develop and build and grow, and in my opinion, accelerate the results that you're seeking. So people are fish, not food. I'm just kidding. That's weird. People are people. They're not tools. And I think that's just an important, valuable lesson.
You're right on the money. It's interesting that as we go into this concept of getting out of the box, those who are just jumping into this episode, you need to go read the book because you got to understand what out of the box means.
Yeah.
In simplistic terms, it's treating people as people or treating them as tools, like John was saying. And John, you're totally right that treating people as a way to get a desired result is just not the right way. I think about when my wife and I this last year, I can remember a specific example. We were both very tired, laying in bed, and we have the baby laying next to us. I think my wife was feeding her at the time or something, and the baby started crying, and it looked like my wife was asleep. So I looked over, and the first thought that came to my mind was, "Why don't you pick the baby up and rock her to sleep so that your wife can get the rest that she needs?" But then after that, I started thinking about, well, I got so much stuff to do tomorrow. Primarily, my wife has the kids during the night, so then I can help with stuff in the day, and like all these thoughts that come out, and you'll see if you read the book, you'll see a resemblance of the stories that they talk about.
Mm.
But at the end, after like the 30 seconds of just compiling, I like nudged my wife's foot, turned over, and fell back asleep. And I feel so guilty for doing that. But that's what treating her as an object would be. I thought of her as a means to an end, a means to get the baby to stop crying so I can go back to sleep.
Mm.
When it's that first thought of when we talk about getting outside the box, it's that first thought that comes to your mind, that good thought of helping someone out, even before anything else happens. That's what you got to take the action on. That's what you got to do, because that is treating them as people. That is leading towards the trust, leading towards seeing them as people. And it's completely changed how I've lead and connected with others, because now 9 times out of 10, I'll do the things that my gut instinct tells me, because that's usually right. And it's when I start thinking about it that I'm usually wrong. So don't overthink, right? That's the lesson there.
Yeah. And we're only human, so it happens. But if you think about it, when you treat others, I mean, we're talking about the golden and platinum rules, right? Treat others treat others the way you want to be treated. And it really is something that perpetuates an amazing experience in your relationships. And again, a company cannot operate without its relationships. Even to the robots and AI that we're now delving deeper into these days. Like, you have to have a decent relationship. If you're treating them like tools, they will I think the tools will come back to bite you in the bum, because they truly can be as rudimentary and difficult as you let them be through your attitude. And that's just an important principle. But you know transitioning into the next like topic here, it's not just how you treat people, but it's also how you treat yourself, right? And when you think about the principles that come from this book, it's it's how you treat people and what you think of them and your attitude towards that relationship, but also it's how you see yourself in the example of either the problem or the solution. And instead of blaming others, like always pointing that finger of like, well, that's not my fault or whatever, you start asking the question, how am I contributing to this problem? And that shift can really transform your relationships. So for me, I was playing basketball the other day, and I realized that I was making a lot of mistakes on my team, and that was costing us points. And I'm just an old man. I'm just getting back in shape, but I don't want to be a detriment to my team. And so what I thought I could do is like, you know what? My attitude became, rather than me making mistakes, I should just give the ball up and let other people make mistakes so that I'm not the one to blame. What a terrible attitude as a teammate, right? What a terrible thought. Like, all right, as long as it wasn't me, I'm good. Oh man, and I'm embarrassed by that because it's just not a great attitude. It's not a great experience, and ultimately you're just going to lose no matter what. So a better thought is like, how am I contributing to this problem? Well, by eliminating myself, I'm now making it 4 versus 5, and my team's now struggling. And I became even a bigger problem. I was just a body on the court. And so for me, it was so much more important to change my attitude. And I said, you know what? Make good passes, make good decisions. If I have an open shot, take it. Who cares if I make mistakes? Rather, let's focus on contributing to the team and helping this team succeed rather than just enabling it to go down the sinking hole that it was. And the difference is points scored, games won, checkmate, a much more positive experience. And you know what? When I realized like that I need to fix how I'm contributing to either the problem or the solution, things change dramatically. And that's just life advice. It doesn't have to be for a pickup game of basketball or sporting or anything else. It could be life. It could be family. It could be anything else. And I think this ties directly to treating people like objects or tools, right? You need to see yourself as a contributing solution, and how you see others as working the challenges. And man, when you fix that, it's like a light bulb turns on. Hey, look, a light bulb. And now you're rocking and rolling. There's energy behind it, and your team starts to gravitate towards the energy and attitude that you've chosen.
And John's done it so many times that he has multiple light bulbs that have come on next to him. Whoa, look at all those. You right on the money with it. Like when you stop blaming others, when you take responsibility for yourself and think of like, how am I contributing to it?
Yeah.
I remember I grew up religious, and so in the Bible, one of the things is like when Jesus is like, one of y'all are going to betray me. I'm going to be casual with this. One of y'all are going to betray me. And most of the apostles were like, is it me? Like, am I the one that's going to be doing it? And that's the right mindset to go with it, because it's a humbling mindset, first off, to where you're just like, okay, I'm going to start with what I can control. Am I the problem? Is there something I can do to fix it? And then afterwards, if you're like, no, I don't think it's me, then you can look around, not with arrogance, but with self-love, and being like, I have already looked at myself and I know things are okay. How can I now help other people? Right. And that goes into the other point that we have, which is leading with empathy, of like when we treat people as people and not just things, not just tools, not just a means to an end, that it creates that trust, it creates that collaboration, it builds that team that you see in a business, it builds the family that you see that are working families. It just, like, in personal and professional life, it just brings together everything when you put it on yourself first, see if you're the problem, and then move forward with empathy, lead with empathy, go forward with the ability to truly want to help people and see people as people.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be a Judas Iscariot, you fools, or listening to this podcast. I'm extra spunky today, so please forgive
Don't
my.
be a Judas, be an apostle.
That's right. That's
Be
right.
Peter.
Be a Peter, be a Mark. Man, I love that example. And you're absolutely right. Like, lead with empathy. This is one of those tools and one of those topics that has become so relevant in today's work and operations. I mean, Brene Brown, in all of her leadership books, came out with the book and theory and the methodology on leading with not empathy, but she uses the word of authenticity and vulnerability, right?
Vulnerability.
And both of those are connected to the heart, because those hearts are emotions, and empathy is all about understanding others. And so while these three topics from today that we're discussing and reviewing are really, really connected, you want to treat people as people, humans, individuals, beating heartbeats. I stopped looking at people as the things that were in my way or in my vicinity, and I started thinking, oh my gosh, that person has a pair of lungs and a heart that's beating right now, that's connected to a body, that's connected to a heart, that's connected to a brain. Like, this is an operating individual, a living being. And when you think of it in those terms, all of a sudden you treat people differently, because there's a lot more meaning to it. And yes, it's a little weird, scientific, and gross sometimes when you think about body parts and organs and stuff like that. But truly, it brings out the empathy in you. So when you got to treat people like people, and not just as like roles or tasks or anything like that, and that will create genuine trust and really increase your collaboration in your personal life as well as just your work. But I think that this is just a valuable principle. And I had it on the tip of my brain. I had another example, a self-deprecating example of myself, but I just lost it. So I'm really going to just finish up by saying, look, humans are important. And whether you're introverted or extroverted, your success ratio is going to dramatically increase when you treat the people around you the way they ought to be and the way they should be treated, so that you can also thrive in the same environment. There's a really weird saying, and I'm just going to go for it because today I'm feeling spunky. And the phrase is, don't pee in the pool. Okay, don't pee in your own pool. And that phrase can be used in so many different contexts. Usually it's used in the same context as dating. I'm not using it in that way. But look, if you pee in your own pool, that means you swim in your own filth. And if you treat people like objects, you're only doing this to yourself, because you're the problem. You're causing challenges and issues and things that in the long run will be hard to wash off. Ew, that just got gross. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I hit that home, because it is icky. It is gross. But when you treat people as humans, now you have an unstoppable force. I'm literally sitting here on Mars next to my Comet chicken and a tractor painting, and it reminds me of astronauts. These are some of the smartest individuals in the world. They're tasked to operate some of the most advanced technology. And guess what? At the end of the day, we expect them to be a team, because if they don't be a team, they ain't going to survive. They ain't coming home. And these are the most brilliant individuals in the world. But yet, at the same time, while their brain just does mathematics when they're resting, these people have to treat other people as people in order to make the mission succeed. And so if you want to go as far as Mars, or as far as down the block, whatever it might be, you need to have empathy. You need to ask yourself the question, am I treating others the way I want to be treated? And how am I contributing to the problem or solution? And then also recognize when you are treating people as humans or as obstacles, and change it immediately. Those are amazing takeaways and steps to success from leadership and self-deception, in my humble opinion.
In my humble yet non-ego opinion, these are my thoughts. I love it, and I'll second that with my final thought on, if you want to have a friend, if you want friends to act a certain way, act it first, because it doesn't promise that the other person will. It just promises that they have more of a chance to. Because if you're a jerk to people, they will be jerks back to you. But if you're a friend to other people, you have a chance of them being a friend back to you. So it doesn't 100% guarantee, but if you're not treating them right, it almost guarantees 100% that they won't treat you right. So aim for the side of empathy, aim for the side of thinking outside the box and being the example as you lead forward. And that's been another episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in this, go ahead and subscribe to us. We're on all the major podcasting platforms, Overcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and some others, as well as you can find us on mychampionscircle.com. And there you'll be able to find our link to the podcast, link to our socials, as well as everything else going in the Champion Circle universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be awesome. Continue to thrive in your life and excel at your results. And always remember, lead with empathy. Think outside the box. Be the one outside the box and continue to move forward, asking yourself, am I the problem? So that you can regain and take control of your life and move forward and be an example for everyone else so that they can in turn be an example for you. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.